I want to talk a little bit about grief and how this is a time of grief. And, we're all kind of getting used to it. So you may not feel like you're grieving like you did in the beginning. But if it's anything like me, you kind of have waves, right? Where you're going along just fine. You're like, yeah, this is all good. And then all of a sudden something comes up and you're like, whoa, life is so different. And how is it going to be? And, you might kind of tumble down the street a little while in your head, and then you realize you have to kind of back yourself up to this moment in time. And to me, one of the gifts of such uncertainty for the way the future will be is, Maggie, I'm doing the exact same thing as I did this morning. So let me change that.
Recording thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fixing it now. So, when we're forced to look at such uncertainty, I think it's a gift because it immediately draws us back into this moment. We can't think of anything but this moment when you can't plan, you can't do anything about the future. And really, this is one of our yoga goals that we've been trying all along is, how do I stay present? How do I be here? And this is not such a kind way of developing those skills, but skills they are nonetheless. And I think it's a gift, but it's also a gift that's coming hard won. And the grief that we're holding, unbeknownst to us at times, because we are getting so familiarized with this way of living, takes its toll on our bodies and on our minds and on our hearts. And, I just want to review the stages of grief. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, I'm sure you all know her name. She worked with a guy named David Kessler, she has died, but David Kessler is alive and well, and he's done a lot of great grief work. If you're ever interested in grief, he's grief.com. If you just go to that website, it's his website. And he has assigned a sixth stage. So let me just go through Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grieving. And remember, grief is messy. It's not linear. It's not like, yep, I'm going to hop on this rock and then I'm going to jump to the next one. It doesn't work like that on any level. And so you can kind of vacillate back and forth between these layers. And the first is denial. So, I think we can see all of the six of these stages of grief you can see in society right now. Denial is an easy one. Like, no, it's all over. It's no big deal. We can go back to normal and not see the impact that this is having. So that's a big one, not just for coronavirus grief, but just in general. Think about the way you grieve, whether it's grieving a real, deep grief, like losing someone, or just the small griefs, like the change of seasons and the end of the day and having to give up a trip that you wanted to take, things like that. The next is anger. I think we can also see a very big dose of that going on in the world right now with all the protests around not wanting to stay at home. And, people are angry about the way things are being handled. I think everybody's flailing around the world. Nobody knows how to handle this. Of course, nobody knows how to handle this. We've never dealt with this before in this way. So there's a lot of anger and blaming. And the next is bargaining. If I do this now, then it'll be okay later, or, however you want to look at bargaining, but it's absolutely a stage of the grieving process. If I stay home, then I won't get sick. And of course, this is not true. All of us are vulnerable at any time. And depression, sadness is the next one, which is, I think, something that we think often around grief. It seems to be what people think of when they think of grief. And besides depression and sadness, it can also be a sense of hopelessness. And this is coming through, and there's alarm bells being sounded all over the place about mental health right now and how much our isolation and uncertainty and fear has really impacted the mental health and emotional well-being for all of us. So this is definitely a big piece of the grieving process. And then finally, at the end of the grieving process, you come, and remember, this is not linear, so you can kind of bounce through the layers of this. Acceptance is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's final stage. She said at some point, even if you revisit the other stages, you come to a place of acceptance where this is what it is, and it's a new way. And with this virus, like, what is it that you're accepting? What has become just a new normal for you that you're just leaning into and just resolving that this is just the way it is for right now? And David Kessler has added another one, and he says the sixth meaning, or sixth stage of grief is finding meaning. That even beyond acceptance, that we come to this place where we see the hidden gifts that can be found through a difficult challenge, whether it's building a sense of resiliency, increasing our tolerance for staying within ours and other people's suffering, being able to open your heart to the compassionately to the suffering of the world. The hidden gifts that maybe the virus has had in your life. Have you taken more walks? Have you connected with people in a way that you hadn't before? Are you slowing down? Is your lifestyle a little bit more manageable? I mean, there's so many possible hidden gifts. And even if you haven't found any yet, to know that this is a part of grieving, that there will be a hidden gift found in this somewhere along the way. And that's not to minimize the loss or to, have a carrot dangling that's all going to be okay in the end, that this is something that we just evolve through over time. So those are the 6 stages of grief. And restorative yoga postures are really good at giving us the opportunity to be present, which is so important. Also to allow emotions to move through us. When we become still and we quiet the waters of the mind down a little bit, we start to open the way up to feel what we're actually feeling, instead of, all the ways that we can suppress, but to let emotions flow through you. And then also, like I talk about all the time, that the resiliency that's built in for the impact to our nervous system. When we are grieving, our bodies, it's stressful on our bodies and in our minds. And this is a gift to give ourselves to help replenish and restore and build a capacity for a window of tolerance for these things. So bravo to you for committing to a restorative practice. I think it's lovely that you guys are here as often as you are. So let's get started. All right, so close your eyes and let's take a moment to sit up straight and tall. And what's here for you today? What has the day been? Have you been able to get outside? Has nature healed you in any way today? Have you moved your body? Have you explored your mind a bit? Have you been challenged in your thinking? Have you been curious? Have you been creative? Have you laughed today? Have you connected with someone today? Just explore the delights of the day. What has this day been for you? And as your eyes close, just settle in. Drop into the state of the body. Maybe feel a little curtain kind of coming over your eyes, draping over your face, that there's ease and softness. Is there something you can slough off, take off, put down, that you don't need to carry anymore? With that little weight that's been released, can you open your breath? Give yourself some room to breathe. Knowing that the weight of grief really can interrupt our ability to breathe well, to expand and keep the heart open. So let's just take a giant, even if it's too much, even if you top off the tank a little bit, just take a giant inhale. And let all that out. And let's do one more time. Big, huge inhale. Relax the jaw, soften the eyes. See if you can, even though your shoulders are dropping, find just a little spaciousness, like the collarbones can up and widen, like opening bird wings. Let's bring our hands to our heart and bow in. Offer an intention. What is it you need? What kind of healing and rejuvenation do you need? And then let's relax the hands. Let's come onto our back. So let's go ahead and find our way. I'm just muting you all just to make sure it's quiet. All right, so come to lie down. And be thankful for this gentle class. You know, when it's a different kind of energy than an active yoga class where we're moving and strengthening and breathing deeply. Well, of course, still breathe deeply, but let's just enjoy how close we are to the earth. So bend your knees for a moment and just let your body weight itself. Feel when your knees are bent, feel how your femur bones can drop a little bit into the pelvis, weighting the pelvis down a little bit. Imagine you have slides, like your femur bones are children's slides at the park. Just let your weight slide down into the pelvis. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your eyes and your face be relaxed again. And now when you take a deep, full breath, try not to top the top of your tank, but instead open up the bottom chambers of your breath. And then we're going to stretch our legs on the floor, stretch our arms on the floor, stretch out wide like a starfish. Squeeze. Maybe you're yawning, maybe you're holding your breath. What's the natural impulse? Squeeze all the muscles in your body that you have access to. Squeeze your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, your shins, your feet, your hands, your shoulders, your face. And then relax that. And let's go ahead and bring the knees into the chest. Rock around a little bit. So just swaying from side to side. All right, and then circle the knees a few times one direction. Just kind of checking in. How's your back feeling? And swirling the other way. All right, and then knees in. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, pick up your head and squeeze everything you got. And just give everything in your body a little bit of tension. And then relax that. Open yourself up. Starfish your body. Navel to your edges. Exhale, knees into the chest. Head up. Let's do that once more. Get big and wide on the floor. Open your body up. Enjoy all your space. Exhale, pick up your head, knees into your chest. And then let's go ahead and release your legs onto the floor. Let's come right knee into the chest, left leg long on the ground. And just rock the knee left and right a little bit. Just find the pocket that it wants to flex into. Once you find the pocket where your knee is most comfortable, just hang out there. Wiggle through your toes, stretching through your ankles. If you've had shoes on all day, give some good wiggles in the feet. And then release that leg down and change sides. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor, and rock the left leg, in and out. And just find the flexion spot that is most comfortable for your hip joint. Nestle into that pocket, extend the spine, and now wiggle the toes and feet and ankles on this side. Just get some broadness, like you have eyes in the bottom of your feet that you're waking up and looking around with. And then relax that leg. Knees are bent, feet are wide on the floor. And then take your arms out to the side just so you have some spaciousness. And let's drop some windshield wipers left and right. So lifting your knees up, dropping them over to the other side. Finding the breath as you move. How does this feel in your body? Do you want to add the arms width? Have you been hunched over a screen all day? Let's enjoy the fact that you have a screen somewhere in the room with you, but you're not sitting staring at it right now. And then let's relax. Bring both knees into the chest. Now we get to bring our knees apart and back in. And just feel that glide of the femur bones in the hip joints. And feel you have a lot of muscles around your hips. So just notice some of them, what's opening, what feels good. And this is kind of a big thing to do this early, but let's try. Hold on to your feet, happy baby pose. Normally I would say pull your knees down, and you may want to not go so deep in the beginning of a practice, but instead rock a little bit left and right. Just getting into some flexion in the hips, lengthening the spine.
All right, and then let's relax the legs onto the ground. We're gonna roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. All right, so let's find some cat-cows. Feeling the sense of arching the back, rounding the spine, taking your time, noticing where your body easily moves, where your body maybe doesn't as easily move. Can you coordinate your breathing with your moving? And then as you're ready, feel free to change things around. You can swirl through your shoulders, move your head, move your neck, maybe drop your hips from one side to the other. Finding the breath. And then come to a flat back. I'm sure you guys have heard me say this before. We're going to draw some paint. We're going to put a paintbrush on our tailbone and draw some circles on the wall behind you. So pretty big pelvic circles here. So good for loosening up the low back. So imagine your tailbone has a paintbrush on it and you're just getting as wide, big, fat circles as you can on the wall. And then go the other direction. Moving your hips the other way. And just notice, do you always go the same way first? You know, what's your natural direction of movement that you like? And then find a cat-cow again. All right, and then to a flat back. Now we're going to imagine that we have a paintbrush on our belly button. And we're going to try to draw big circles on the floor. So back toward hip flexion, sticking the hip out to the side, forward toward your hands, hip out the other side, and just find your way. Just enjoy this through the hips, a lot of range of motion in the hip joints. Go the other direction if you haven't yet. And then stretch back into a deep child's pose. Feel the spine rest. Walk the hands forward if it's comfortable. If your shoulder needs something different than this, then take something different than this. Deep breath into the back of the body. And let's walk forward. Take your arms as if you were going to go into dog pose, but instead, we're going to drop our shoulders down toward the floor and come into puppy pose. So you can walk your knees back as much as you need to. The hips are over the knees. The spine comes toward the floor. Have a little lift under the armpits so you're not collapsing the shoulders. Just open the thoracic spine as you take the femur bones back. Deep breaths here. And then go ahead and come up onto all fours. Try to breathe through your nose as much as you can. Even if the exhales come out through the mouth. Focus on inhales through the nose. Lift the right arm up in the air. Exhale and drop that shoulder down, finding a twist on this side. Left hand can anchor into the floor. Let your head be soft and neutral. Notice if your hips shift left, see if you can keep the thigh bones moving back instead. How's your breath now? Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth or your nose. Then inhale, reach that arm back up to the sky, place the hand down onto the ground. Change sides, left arm lifting, drop that shoulder down, relax, relax your head, so turn your gaze toward the floor. Have a little bit of weight in that right hand to help stabilize the spine. Take the breath into the body as best as you can through the nose. Notice the restriction of the breath. Twisting naturally kind of tightens up the breath, so just see what you find there. And then let's go ahead and come on out of that. We're going to repeat this a little differently. So instead of twisting all the way down, I want you to come back towards child's pose and have the arm, you're facing the floor a little bit more. So this is really stretching the outside of the shoulder more than it's a twist. Lengthen through your spine. Take a deep breath into the back of the body. All right, and then let's go ahead and bring that hand forward and change sides. Other shoulder down, sink your hips back, square your collarbones toward the floor and broaden them. Feel the back of your shoulder open as best as you can. Let's go ahead and release that. Now we get to come up to dog pose. Spread through your feet, spread through your hands. Root into the index finger mounds, lengthen through your body. Feel your sternum lift up toward the pelvis. Find your pose. What's here? Bend the knees. Let the femur bones lift up and back. Feel your breath. Let your head melt. So this is an inversion, so let the inversion take over. So restorative. Even though there's effort in the shoulders, find the restorative nature of relaxing your jowls, your jaw, your tongue, your eyes. Notice how much room you have for breathing. And then walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Feet hip width apart, bend your knees. Feel free to wiggle things out here. You can wag your tail, roll around in your shoulders. You can feel some looseness and softness in your skull. Deep breaths. Come into a halfway lift. The spine gets longer, the legs get longer. And then exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet. Rise up, reaching the arms to the sky. Let's cactus, open the arms, take a deep breath. Heart opening. And exhale and round in. Elbows coming toward each other. Tuck the chin. Inhale. Lifting the arms up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Breathing through the nose. Exhale and come back down. Step your left foot back. The right foot is forward. Let's grab your blocks, if you have some blocks handy. And let's just come to a lunge. Just opening the hip flexors of the back leg and then opening the hamstrings of the front. Let's move. So movement is a great way to get some slide glide in all the soft tissues of the body. So allow yourself to feel that. I like to inhale as I bend my knee. Do you like to inhale or do you like to exhale as you bend your knee? Enjoy the sensations that you're feeling. This is present moment stuff. When you feel your body, you're here, you're now. Let's go ahead and come into a lunge. Put your back knee onto the ground. Inhale, lift your arms to the sky. Feel the extension. Open the heart. Maybe cactus your arms out. Maybe your arms just come out to the side. And then release and relax. Hands onto the inside edge of your foot. You can bring your hands on blocks or onto the floor. You can keep the back knee down as you stretch your heart forward, or you can pick up the back knee off the ground and come into runner's lunge. So however, whatever variation you want in this is completely fine. Widen the sit bones. Feel the extension through your spine here. Deep breaths. All right, and then let's go ahead and lift that leg back, coming into dog pose here. Pedal out your feet. Give yourself some kneading with your toes. And then once your feet are down on the ground, let's bend one knee and then bend the other knee. Just letting your calves, your feet, the bottom of your feet have some space. And when you're ready, let's bring our left foot forward, come into a lunge on this side. Okay, blocks are great. And let's start to flow. Straightening the legs, bowing the head, bending your knee. Chest coming forward. Just find your way. Square hips. Enjoy the sensations of the body. Close your eyes so you can dive into what you're sensing. Feel your breath. Long inhales through the nose. Exhale, mouth or nose, whatever's comfortable. Are you already a little bit more here? You know, just the little paces that we've gone through of coming into the body, opening the body. Can you feel a difference? Let's go ahead and lift up, reaching the arms to the sky. Find your lunge. Try not to collapse into your lungs. Have a little resistance there. Open things up. Maybe you want to cactus your arms. Maybe your arms want to be out. Maybe you want to keep them up. Whatever feels good. You can even interlace them behind your back. Okay. And then release that. Go ahead and put your hands down onto blocks or the floor. Inside edge of your left knee. Your back knee can stay on the floor. You can curl your toes under it and lift the back knee up off the ground. Whatever feels delicious. Okay, so come into the steadiness. Widen the sit bones. Feel the spine grow. Discover your breath again. right, and then if you haven't put your knee down, go ahead and put your back knee down and bring the other knee back with it. Let's lower ourselves down to the floor. Take your arms wide. Come up to a wide cobra pose. Just hang out here for a few breaths. Feel the neck lengthen. Feel the stomach lengthen, the spine lengthen. Stretch your legs. And then exhale and melt back down. Scooch to the left side of your mat. Let's bring our right knee up high toward our chest. Move your blocks out of the way. Okay. Stretch your arm overhead, and we're just gonna come into a big open twist here. I'm out of room, but let your arms stretch out over to the side. You can let your knee leave the floor. Let this really be about your chest more than a deep spinal pose. So back away from the floor with your knee to a comfortable place, and just stretch your pecs. And if your arm is straight out to the side, experiment by lifting it a little higher up toward your head with your hands on the floor. And just notice all the different muscles across your chest. Your pec major muscle has a lot of different angles. All right, and then let's go ahead and unwind that pose. Let's scoot ourselves all the way to the right side of the mat. The left knee comes high up toward your chest. Lie down on the ground, right arm up over your head to rest your head on when you begin, and then stretch open to this side. Let the knee leave the floor. Try not to overtax the spine with too much twisting. Breathe here. Open up the pecs. See what it feels like to have a different angle through your arm. And what do you like about that? What's here for you? And then let's unwind that. Go ahead and find your way back up onto all fours. Perhaps you want to do some more paintbrush circles. Perhaps you want to come into child's pose to see what feels good in your body. Deep breath in, deep breath away. We're going to come into pigeon pose with your right leg forward. So if you need some support, you can take whatever you need. Lately, I've been using blankets long fold, but you can also just have a blanket underneath your sit bone, underneath your right sit bone. So whatever feels good to you. Lately, I've been bringing my leg in the front of those blankets, so both my sit bone and my thigh are resting on the blanket. Whatever you have at home to help you. Okay. And I can't say enough, if we're coming to a place of acceptance that our yoga practice is an online practice for the time being, it's a really important time to purchase some yoga props. So if you don't have blocks or blankets or a strap or something at home, especially blocks, you can kind of make do with scarves and pillows and blankets, but blocks have their own unique tool. And foam ones are not expensive. So if you can order some online, if you don't have any, that would be a really great help to your yoga practice. Rest your head on something. Feel the spine grow. Find your breath. Deepen your inhales through your nose. Let your exhales come all the way out. Check and make sure your knee is in a happy place, that you're not torquing the knee joint at all. Do you feel that you are in a place of comfort and ease? Even if there's a little discomfort in the stretch, that's okay, but you don't want to have discomfort in your joint. Okay, so if your knee or ankle or hip joint are giving alarm bells, you need to listen to those. Spine gets longer, breath gets deeper. Melt here as best as you can. Widen the sit bones. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Of course, you can come into reverse pigeon pose. Forgot to say that in the beginning. So if your knee doesn't like this, you can flip over onto your back for reverse pigeon pose. All right, let's go ahead and find our way up. And you can swing that leg around and switch sides. Perhaps you'd like to go into dog pose to switch sides. If you're unfamiliar with reverse pigeon pose, I think you all know, but you put your body on the ground and you put your foot on top of your knee and then grab on, which is also a wonderful way to stretch the hips. Okay. Find your way into the posture. Support yourself however you need support. Spine gets longer. Come to rest in toward the floor. So if you have something to rest your head on, this is very helpful for the nervous system. It's very soothing to the nervous system. Sit bones wide, spine long, breath deep. The eyes are soft, the jaw, the tongue are soft. Deep inhale through the nose, long exhale. Be in the here and now. So what are the sensations of the body in this pose? Are you able to melt into that sensation? Does it feel good? Is there something soothing about this? Even though none of the poses we've done thus far are typically restorative poses, quote unquote restorative poses, notice if they are restoring you. Just simply using poses to bring yourself into the breath and body is restorative. Doesn't matter what poses they are. All right, let's go ahead and come on up and out of there. We're going to come to stand. One last pose, standing up. Take your blocks if you have them. So I'm going to make like a little tower to rest my head on. Now, if you don't have blocks, you can rest your head on the edge of your couch or a chair and have your feet as wide apart as you need them for this pose. So, if your hamstrings are real tight, you can take your legs wider, or perhaps you just want your legs wider than hip width apart. So the goal here is to not smush your head, but to feel that you can be, this is kind of like our hack toward a headstand. Okay, so we're not doing a headstand, obviously. I'm not gonna ever teach a headstand online because I can't see anybody, but just see what it feels like to have the top of the head resting on something. The shoulders can lift away from the ears. The knees are not pushed back. There can be a slight little micro bend in the knees. Find the breath. Lift the sit bones so that the top of the sacrum follows the spine instead of tucking the tailbone down toward the floor and having a tug of war at the sacrum. Let the sit bones lift so the tailbone lifts and the sacrum can follow the spine. Deep breaths in and away. Relax your head. Feel the weight against the skull. Feel the effects of gravity. Notice how your skin is sagging toward your eyes. Just enjoy that. Let there be some weight in your skin. All right, and then go ahead and bend the knees. Come on up. Stand up. Let's loosen away from that pose. Just go from side to side. Your arms can be, down at your sides and real flumpy. They can be out, whatever feels good. Finding the breath. Okay, so now we're going to come down to the ground. The first restorative pose we're going to do is reverse cashew. So if you have traditional yoga blankets, we're going to fold them in round bolsters. Okay, so just roll up your blankets, even if you don't have traditional Mexican blankets, traditional yoga blankets, just whatever you have. Let's open them up, to this width and give them a good roll. Okay, so you need 2 of them. If you have 3, that's even better. Okay, and we're going to, chances are they're not the same height. Okay, so we're going to have the one that's bigger on the top and the one that's a little smaller on the bottom. You might need a pillow or a block for underneath your head. So we're going to find our way into this posture. So head can be supported with a pillow or a block. And then we're just going to open up. So this is a little different than just having one roll underneath us. And you may need to find a place for your arms to be comfortable. So they just walk around your arms until you find where you want to be. And you can adjust some things a little bit. This is called a reverse cashew because, you know, cashew is kind of shaped like this, right? So we're reversing the shape of the cashew. And just allow yourself to open up here. Make sure, check in. Once you're settled, ask yourself, are you comfortable? Is there anything that needs to change? Do you need to adjust where the blankets are? Do you need to adjust where your head is, your arms, maybe even your legs? Do you want to bend your knees? Would you be better off having a different position with your legs? Let's just take a moment to start breathing here. Notice the diaphragm. Find the space that you have. Close your eyes. Melt into the breath as best as you can. Deep inhale. Long, steady exhale. Are you breathing through your nose? At least in through your nose. Is the base of your skull soft? Can you relax your jaw? Because the blankets are in between your shoulder blades, you might find that the tops of your shoulders have a little gap to kind of fall into. So let them retreat. See if you can find that sense that there's a melting where the heads of the arm bones can drop away and the heart is the leader. Enjoy the reverse. This is so opposite of a computer stance, right? So if your daily practice involves sitting in front of a computer for hours at a time, this is the perfect way to combat the shape your body takes. Now, if we want to, for the last little bit of the pose, if you're so content, you just stay right where you are. You could stay here for 20 more minutes if you want to. But if you want something just a little bit different, first just cross the arms over, hold the opposite shoulders for a moment. And then we're going to slide our hands down to the outside of our lower arms near our elbows. And we're going to lift the arms. Oh, maybe they go over your head, maybe they stop at your forehead. Just see where they go and make sure you're checking in to make sure that your shoulders are happy with what you're doing. And just notice. Imagine someone's got their hands underneath you and are sliding your shoulder blades down your back toward your pelvis. Feel the openness through the chest, the diaphragm. Breathe your way here. And then let's bring them up again, arms over, cross the other arm on top, rest here for just a moment. And then as you're ready, slide the hands to the bottom of your humerus bones, right above your elbows, and repeat on the other side. And notice, especially if you have a shoulder that's a little wonky, you might find one grasp is gentler than the other. Enjoy the openness. Slide the shoulder blades down the back. Let the mid-back melt. All right, and then unwind the arms one last time. Cross them over, whichever arm on top you want. And we're going to bring our knees toward our chest and roll over onto your side and come on up. Okay. I'm going to reverse that. So take your props. So whatever you have, I'm going to use 2 blocks and a bolster, okay, and maybe even a blanket. So you just kind of find what you find. And I'm going to come into child's pose with my body supported, maybe a couch pillow, maybe some pillows, whatever you have. And by the way, I've given away just about all my props, but I have mats, and I also have 1 bolster left. So if anybody wants to borrow my bolster, you're welcome to it. I can sterilize, I don't know how I can sterilize it, but I can wash the cover. I can wash the cover of it and then leave it for you on my porch. So you just text me if you want a bolster. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. Turn your head to one side for a couple breaths. And then turn your head the other way for a few breaths. All right, we're going to let ourselves come up and out of this pose very carefully and gently. All right, now let's take some of our props away for a moment. We're going to sit on the floor. Try sitting on the edge of a blanket. So you might want to, fold up one of your blankets again and sit on the edge of it. And this, you might need to get creative with your props here. You can do this in the corner of the bed or a couch, or if you have some yoga props, you can stack stuff up. Okay, so you can put whatever you want wherever you want so that your head is supported. Now, if you don't have enough props to support your head, find the props you do have and put your elbows on those props and then support your head in your hands. Okay, so a wide-legged pose. Femur bones are apart, like a V. Stretch through your feet. Make sure you're sitting on the edge of something so you're not rolling the pelvis back, but you're tipping into a little bit of an anterior tilt of the pelvis. Be a little bit active. So flex instead of letting your feet be real passive. Flex your feet a bit. Open up the eyes of the bottom of your feet. Engage your quadriceps. Let your legs anchor toward the floor. Let your upper body just melt. Feel the length of your spine. Feel the support of whatever you're resting your head on. Deep breath in, deep breath away. The nervous system really enjoys having your forehead resting on something. So whatever you're putting your forehead on, can you melt into it? Can you relax the eyes, relax the jaw, relax your tongue, pull your tongue in your mouth? All right, and then let's go ahead and lift back up. Take the bolster, or blocks, or blankets, or whatever you have, and go ahead and move everything out of the way for just a moment. Find a spot where you're not touching any props. Lie down on your back. Deep breaths. You can stretch your legs straight or bend them. Just take a moment to find some neutrality in your spine, some depth in your breath. We're going to take a very simple twist that we do so often in yoga. Lift your hips and move them to the right a couple of inches. Lift up your knees and drop them left. Take a breath. Let yourself unwind the twist. Turn your head. Deepen your breath in. Lengthen your exhales. All right, let's go ahead and lift the knees back up. Scooch the hips over to the left. Bring your knees up and drop them right. Take a deep breath in, deep breath away. Melt here. Gaze into the side. Let your chest relax as you breathe. And then let's lift the legs back up again. Take a breath. Bring your knees into the chest. Rock around. Maybe another happy baby pose like we did in the beginning. If you want, you can be moving. You can be still. Just find what your back is needing. All right, and then we're going to come over onto our side. And we're going to find our way to Supta Konasana. So firm couch pillows are really wonderful for this. I think you all know how to figure it out for your house, what you've been using. This pose we do all the time in restorative. It's like the world's best restorative pose. So I like my setup is I have one block like that and one block like that. I put the bolster on top. And then I use blankets, one underneath each of my outer legs. If your head needs more support, have an extra blanket for under your head, or maybe a pillow for under your, at your head, whatever you like. I like to have my arms supported as well in this pose. Perhaps you have an eye pillow that you want for over your eyes. Maybe you want a blanket over you. So, you might need like 10 things to help yourself get settled into this posture well. So the soles of our feet are together. We sit on the floor and then lay back on the bolster. Our knees come butterflying out to the sides with support, whatever you've got to support your back and your legs. And then arms too, if you want some pillows to rest your forearms on. Having our arms dangle can upset the nervous system. Whenever we dangle anything, our nervous system is watchful of that area of the body. So if we're supported, the nervous system says, okay, we got that covered. We're okay there, and it will move on and not flip the light switches on. It'll let the light switches start to dim. To allow the nervous system to start to dim, know that this is a very healing, that when the nervous system dims, it's a very healing place for the body. So the accumulation of stress that our minds are holding, the uncertainties, the fears, the grief, all the stages of grief. What ways have you been in denial? What ways have you been bargaining? In what ways have you been angry? In what ways have you been depressed or sad? In what ways have you begun to accept some things? What meaning have you found through what you've been through? Just acknowledge all of that. And as you do, come back to the body, release the mind into this moment, into this breath. Feel the support. Take refuge in the support. Are your limbs able to melt? Is your spine restful? Can your skull relax, your neck relax? Is your jaw soft and free? Is your belly able to receive? Is your breath deep and full? Are you able to maintain breathing through your nose? So let's go ahead and begin to deepen our breathing here. And see what kind of movement feels best. Would you rather straighten your legs or bring your hands around the outer knees and bring your knees in? Find your way out of the posture. Remember, you're on a perch, so as you come onto your side, be careful. We're going to find our way into Shavasana. Shavasana can look so many different ways. You can put your legs up a wall or your shins on the couch. You can create a little perch with blocks and a bolster. You can come into any variation of Shavasana that feels right to you. If you want to be spread out on the floor and no support, that's great. If you want to have some support underneath you, under your knees or your head, that's great too. So whatever you're finding, let's go ahead and continue this deep, soft place that you've cultivated in Supta Baddha Konasana. Once you settle into your posture again, melt as best as you can. Drop into the floor. Let your limbs be relaxed and comfortable, easy and gentle. And the belly is soft and free. The breathing, steady inhale through the nose. Long exhale. The eyes are soft. So as you're ready, let's begin to deepen the breath again. Inhale through the nose. Long exhale. Let's invite some movement, wiggling toes and fingers. Eventually find maybe a big stretch with your arms overhead to just reinvigorate the body. And knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug. Come onto your side.
And find your way up to a seat. And as you get comfortable, whatever that comfortable seat is, just take a moment to know, are you present? Did your practice give you the gift of being here in your body now? And then as you're ready, place your palms at the heart and bow in, offering your practice, share your energy with another. Namaste. I can hear the howling outside. I don't know if you guys can.